There we go. 1,100 people. We're hot.
Ladies and gentlemen, live from the broken down, low-rent, sleazy, double greasy Pirate Radio Nut Hut Studios, it's time for the very first ever Southern...
CPR Street Gang, this is all fighting. Standing by, over. CPR Street Gang, this is all fighting. Standing by, over.
Right now, it's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines...
Clock's run out. Time's up. Wind is blowing cold and dark. On the road and no way out. A broken house, a smoking gun. On the run. On the run.
It's Monday night. It's Aftermath FM. My name's Jimmy.
Look, if you had one shot, or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted, one moment, would you capture it?
Into the Microcosm is on the air.
Yo. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking how? Everybody's choking now. The clock's run out, time's up, over, loud. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes rabbit. He choke. He's so mad, but he won't give up. Daddies, he know he won't have it. He knows his whole back to these ropes. It don't matter. He's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stagnant. He knows when he goes back to this mobile home. That's when it's back to the lab again, yo. This old rhapsody better go capture this moment and hope it don't do it. Lose yourself in the music. The moment you own it, you better never let it go. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. You better lose yourself.
Don't miss your chance to blow. Cause opportunity comes once in a lifetime, yo. It's Monday night. Dr. Rose here. Epic Journeyman's here. I'm here. You're here. We're all here. It's the after party, the underground. The alternative to the alternative. It ain't your granddaddy's late night. No. I'm coming to you from a dark, wet, rainy night in the Santa Cruz Mountains. It's Aftermath FM. You ever heard of the third secret of Fatima? You ever heard of Fatima? The three secrets of Fatima. Malachi Martin. Ancient technology. The Antichrist. A moment where time stops and you see your soul as God sees it. Tonight on Into the Microcosm. Epic tournament. Yeah, you there?
I'm here.
Excellent. It was good to see you, man. You looks like you made it through the weekend in one piece. Watch out for that board. You almost got spearheaded. Get off my way, man. There you go. Surf Nazis in the house. Hey, man, if you 80s, bro. If you're not local, you're a yokel. Back to San Jose. That's what we say here in Santa Cruz, California, Surf City. And I know they think Surf City is down at Hermosa or what is the pier down there? They say I don't even know what it is, but it's I want to say it's in Long Beach. What's the name of that pier? Do you remember? Do you know?
I don't remember.
You don't know.
The one from Point Break.
There's always been this argument. It almost came to me. There's always been this argument between Santa Cruz and this other town about who is Surf City. And I can't think of the other one's down in Southern California. I can't think of it. Maybe when we find Dr. Rowe, maybe he'll know. I think this song has enough cojones to bring in the illustrious, the illuminated one himself, the Right Reverend. Dr. Rowe, are you there?
Get out of the way! Get out of the way! Oh, I think I made it here.
I know there's a traffic jam out in front of the green room. It must be all that smoke coming out of here. There's a lot of smoke coming out of the green room tonight, I'll tell you that, man. Nerves, are everybody seems a bit on edge, don't they?
Yeah.
Seems like things are just, steadily increasing in frequency. I don't know. It's just like we're all starting to hum and vibrate.
It's all coming to a head, yes.
It does seem like it's coming to a head. Do you have one of those Crown Victorias?
I used to have a Dodge Diplomat,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have a Crown Vic. No, my car's more like an undercover Fed car.
You know what's funny, man? Honestly,
It's a European. It's like a European police car.
young people are never gonna know, man, what it was like to ride in a Cadillac, like an old Cadillac. You know what I mean?
Kind of like a
I
boat.
had a Cadillac. I had a Cadillac that one. I think it was a 1970 and it was one of these huge things. It was a convertible, and I went 50-50 with my friend, and we had it for just like a really short time, but we cruised up and down the California coast. It was really cool.
Huntington Beach, yeah. Huntington says they're Surf City. Now, why is Huntington say they're Surf City? They don't have waves like we do here in Northern California. I mean, back then when Surf City was being established, they weren't riding waves at Mavericks then, so we can't really use Mavericks as an example. But what was it about Huntington? Is that you could shoot the pier or whatever?
I mean, it was just a bunch of people down there. It was just a gathering. You know, it was L.A. It was close to all the movie star stuff. You know, I mean, L.A. is, it's got that for it. L.A. is a unique kind of cool place to be in some aspects. You know, if you like the scene and party and having a good time and you're young and da-da-da, you know, okay. It's
even Venice Beach had a bunch of surf shops and stuff on it. And it's like I lived in Venice Beach for a few years, and I'll just say, I don't think I ever saw a real wave. I mean, you know, there's stuff there. I mean, you could float around on like a skim board or something. Or, you know, one of those boogie boards. There's like boogie boarding waves, but nothing, you know, substantial. You could sink your teeth in. I mean, you don't have to, you know, be on the verge of death, you know, every time you go out in the water, but I mean, at least something. You know, you want some kind of I don't know. There's not much waves down there is all I'm saying. I don't see, maybe, I could be wrong.
There's a couple waves in San Diego. You know,
San Diego's different. Yeah, San Diego's different, but Huntington, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. No, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong,
there's a lot of surf shops in San Diego.
Yeah, obviously, but I mean, no, but San Diego, you know, you've got, you know, La Jolla's there. You know, people used to surf down at Ocean Beach. That was kind of not that, you know, nothing spectacular. It had its days, you know. They all have their days. The waves go in, they go out, you know. The tides, they rise, they fall. It's the world that we live in, you know. And it seems to be going just a bit out of kilter, so to speak. So now, have you been hearing anything about this third secret of Fatima? Any of you guys recently? Because I know it seems to be coming back, making a comeback.
You know, to be honest with you, I never really took that much stock in that. I know about, I mean, you know, I've heard about it and all that, but I never really took too much stock in it. I was just, it's just one of those things.
Me neither. And mostly the reason I didn't was because there was one specific part of it that I just couldn't see ever happening, which was a bunch of these Catholics and these Christians being killed and the blood running in the streets and all this stuff. But then once we got further down the road, like 15 or 20 years, and we ended up in a situation where we have a bunch of people from a different religion that don't really care too much for a lot of the Christians. And, you know, I mean, I'm just saying, you know, let's say from a perspective of how many Muslims there are and how many Christians there are, you can see that Muslim demographic is getting bigger. And the Christian...
And, you know, recently even the Hindus have started going off.
Get out of here, really?
Yeah, they've not only attacked Muslims, they attacked Christians.
Get off my lawn.
The Hindus have been, in India, have been going crazy. It's been a long time they've been sort of feuding with the Muslims, but recently there was an attack on a Christian church. And and I was like, wow, from Hindus? It's not Hindu-like.
That's one of the things that got me looking into the Hindu religion for myself, was that I noticed that it was the only religion I didn't hear anything about.
And there was...
and it turns out it's the supreme path. I mean...
I have a couple Hindu friends, and the one guy, he was joking. He's like, man, I'm going to find another religion. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, it's just too much work. He's like, you know how many gods we have? And he's like, I got to do all these different ceremonies. It's like this time, and, you know, I got to do this, and then you got to do this, and you got to do that. And it's like, it's just way too much work. There's just too much involved. It's like, and, there was an attack on the Sikhs recently in India, and the attackers, whoever they were, got their butts whipped because the Sikhs are smart.
You don't mess
They
with
all
Sikhs,
carry
man.
knives.
Sikhs-
They all carry daggers. Every last Sikh that you see has a dagger underneath something. It's required. Their religion requires them to always have a dagger. And that's because last time, a long time ago, they got attacked and they got their butts whipped. And they basically vowed never again.
Yeah,
it's
you
true.
don't want to mess with
That's a right.
Sikhs are somebody you want to definitely have as your friend.
They're cool. I mean, they're usually really cool. I mean, they don't mess with nobody.
No.
And but yeah, so
They will-
all the religions are warring. Or well, I wouldn't say, but yeah, they're all fighting each other over stuff.
Did you
it
know?
just-
Did you know that the Sikhs, they take their beard and their hair and they twist it up and stick it up under the head dress that they're wearing? I don't know what it's called, but the point is that headdress is the same thing that you would wrap yourself in when you die. You know what I mean? So that headpiece, I don't know what it's called. Maybe you do, Epic. That headpiece, and that was the thing too. Is like Sikhs were getting attacked by people who thought they were Muslims.
Yeah.
You know, because
right. And they're the mystics of the Hindu faith, right? So that's
Yeah.
the thing. Yeah, you don't want to mess with them.
no, and you know, a lot of dudes when they were over there, they would hire Sikhs to be their bodyguards. You know, Sikh dudes. So it's, you know, there's so many different aspects to what's gone on, and you know, and I think, you know, more and more we're realizing that the history that we've been shown is definitely, you know, maybe not exactly how things have played out. I've been recently interested in this channel that I found, and I sent you guys this video. For this guy, his name's Praveen, and he goes around to all these ancient Hindu temples, and he basically looks at these carvings, and he decodes it. He decodes what's going on there. And so, like, what originally led me to the guy in the first place was I saw this video that he did, and it was called the Anti-Gravity Tower. And it really got me interested because of, you know, the conversations that we were having about ancient technology in the past, Dr. Rowe, and the Earth being a motherboard, this kind of thing. So he found this how he found the thing was that a rock fell off this it's a 40-foot tower that's standing by itself. It's just standing there, freestanding. It looks like it has a big giant foundation on it, but on closer examination, it turns out this thing is just standing there on like a 4-inch square plate, and one of the feet of the thing isn't even actually touching the ground, but it's standing there, and it's been standing there for, you know, 1,000 years. What he put forward was that this was a piece of technology, and that they had made this thing stand up, and the reason that he thought that this rock had dropped out of there was because there was an earthquake, a 2-point-something earthquake, and so the thing was put forward that this piece of technology, when there was an earthquake, would drop a stone out. And then he went through this whole temple and looked at all the walls and all the stuff that was carved on there, and he basically was able to pull out all these different reasons why they were depicting gravity at this temple way before there was any Newton. So it was really, really interesting. And so, you know, this ancient technology is everywhere around us, eh? Guys, I'm trying to get this video. Hang on a second. That was a video you sent me. Here, hang on a second. Give me this video.
I was brushing up on the Sikhs here a little bit. Yeah, it turns out, you know, they started as from a Hindu province, but they're separate, they're monotheistic, and it's their own actual religion. So, Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of branches of it too. I mean, we got into a little bit with the dervishes and that kind of thing, how they all kind of cross paths a little bit.
Have you guys ever heard of the, I think it's Padmanabhaswamy temple?
No.
Padmanabhaswamy. It's a temple that's in India, and it looks on the outside, it looks like just a nondescript kind of little temple, and but it's actually, I believe it goes down into the ground, and it has several doors. And if you look it up, they've opened all of these doors to these vaults except for one. And apparently they're supposed to, like, the one door that they can't open can only be opened from the inside because it leads somewhere. And it has these strange carvings, like of serpents and things on it. There's no handles or anything on the outside. It's locked from the inside. And they said that if they ever did pry it open or force it open, that would unleash like a terrible destruction and plague upon the earth. They've opened all of the other temple doors, vaults to these vaults inside this temple. To the Indian government wanted to inventory, what was in there, and they found just all kinds of treasures and gold and things from thousands of years old, just great stuff. And we're not absolutely sure what's in there, but it's interesting because the temple itself, you can walk right up to the outside of it, and you would think something that has this much antiquities, this much significance, not only for the treasures in monetary in material value, but just the spiritual and also this crazy door, that there might be more security around it. But you can, if you look down on Google Earth and stuff, you see a couple security cameras and all that. There's a few touristy places. It does have some guards, and it's under watch. But this is this place, and you can actually Google like Indian temple sealed doors or doors that cannot be opened, and it talks about that. In fact, here it says India has a secret door that cannot be opened. The incredible sensation of recent years has been the value of the Padmanabhaswamy temple in the city of Trivandrum, Travancore province in India. The discovered treasures surpass all previously known ones, including the tomb of Tutankhamun. So they're saying that it's beyond King Tut, what they found.
That is wild. No, I mean, some of these temples in India and all across, just the way that they're built is just a mind-blowing. There's no way you did it with these primitive tools. Some of the pillars and stuff, and I mean, it's clear it's done with a lathe. I mean, I want to promote this guy's channel. So the guy's name is Praveen Mohan, all one word, Pravenmohan, Praveen Mohan. So he cruises everywhere and goes to these different temples. He's got a bunch of videos, and anyone, if you're into this type of information, you'll love this guy. I brought this one because it kind of reminded me of conversations that we'd had in the past, just around these technologies from the past. And this is a 770-year-old arc reactor found in an Indian temple, the secret energy device of the gods. Let's check in with Praveen and wet our whistle with what he's discovered over there. Mom's Jimmy, Dr. Rowe, Epic Journeyman, and you. Check this out. We are getting into some ancient technology right now.
Hey guys, today I'm going to show you some solid evidence of an ancient arc reactor that existed 800 years ago. I know some of you will think this is an absurd claim, but I challenge you to watch till the end of this video and then prove me wrong. Here, we can see this insane carving on the ceiling of an ancient temple. At first view, it's quite shocking to see such an advanced design at such large scale.
Okay, I'm just gonna say, since for the radio listeners who can't see it, what we're looking at is like it looks like a jet engine. It looks like the center of a jet engine, but it also he doesn't bring it up, and I'm sending this over to you guys here in our chat, and I just dropped it in the chat in the Microcosm Jimmy Jean Strike Zone, and I'm dropped in this chat here with you guys, because this thing looks like CERN, man, to me. Epic, I know you saw the video.
Yeah, it looks when he was talking about it being like a jet engine. When I look at it, I totally see magnet coils going around.
Yeah,
you know? Like CERN. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. Now, he brings up a lot of points about this particular. When you're walking in to this temple, there's pillars everywhere. There's 4 pillars basically holding this up, and then you look up into the ceiling of this, and this up above is what you would see when you're looking at CERN, that kind of apparatus that, I mean, you look at it, and to me, when I see it, I got this feeling that it was like a transformer of some kind, or some sort of a generator or something. And it's interesting because it looks like it has some sort of brass tips or something on the tops of these ridges that are going around what looks like to be what we talked about, the jet engine.
Yeah, it looks like a turbofan out of a Boeing or something, right? At first glance, until you look at it, in those rings, they actually meet in the middle. There's like a coupling, you know what I mean? And the concentric rings that go outside and go into different layers. Like they can either counter rotate or whatever, and they have an axis that ties in these rings in the center as they go out. So there's a center tip like a cone. And then it's got these layers of, could it be magnets, which are considered like a turbofan, but they're not bent like a turbofan on an engine like he's describing. They're actually set up like you said, like CERN or something like that, where it's actually you can see them being magnets, and actually those or magnetic on the ends like a electric motor, right? Except that it's coils for something else. And those 4 pillars are also like a magnet, right? And they describes a flat piece on the top and on the bottom with the rings in between that are carved or to the lathe. It occurred to me like that looks like a model, if you will, that somebody has left in stone, basically describing what the ancient Indians called Brahmanas, the flying ships, the buildings, right?
It could be, but later on,
kind of a parallel of like the ancient, the temples or the cathedrals that I like to call cathode rails,
right?
That maybe were at one point used to harness the etheric energy. They're missing pieces now, but there was a functionality to them. And here you have this Indian temple, or these Indian temples with maybe not exactly the same architecture, but parallel types of similar aspects to their architecture in their temples, their holy places where power was centralized. And maybe these things are, of course, not working as they did back in the day. But today we just look at them as like, oh, look, it's pretty, and all the designs, it's so intricate, but they actually had functionality. And maybe the Indians, they did things, similar to the Tartarian, let's say, but with a little different flair. Just like, we all build cars differently depending, and we all, make art differently depending on where you are in the world. We all make music slightly differently, but it's all still music. So.
Well, listen, before we get any deeper into it, because, he looks around the outside of this temple, and what he wants to see, he says, how do I see behind? I need to see this from the side. I need to see this from the back. I need to see this. And he goes out front on here, and on these small carvings, he notices one of these. He notices it, and it's got a cable coming out of it, and it's going down to a box that a dude is holding. And then there's all these guys that seem to be wrestling this snake, but it's a cable, man. It's a cable of some kind. This was definitely, because it looks to, he asserts that the box that the guy had was being charged by this mechanism so he could walk away with that box and have electricity like a battery. It's really a mind blower. Like I said, the guy's name is his channel is Praveen Mohan, and we're looking at the 770-year-old arc reactor found. If you want to go get on his channel and take a look at some of this stuff, if you're listening on the radio, you can check it out on your phone. Go ahead.
32 spokes.
Does it really?
Yeah, 32 vertebrae in the human spine. 2 spokes on this thing.
Interesting. Well, listen, we're right up on the break, man. I got to go to it. I'm sorry. Here we go.
How healthy are your arteries? Deteriorating circulation has a number of early warning signs. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, fingers and or toes often go cold, arms and or legs often go to sleep, sharp diagonal crease in the earlobe, short walks cause cramping or pains in legs. Memory is not as good as it used to be. Ankles swell late in the day. Chest pain after physical exercise or emotional stress. If you experience even one of these symptoms, your circulatory system is crying out for attention. Extendivite is a natural solution to help improve your overall health. Extendivite is not your average heart tonic. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
'Tis the season, and to celebrate, in the month of December, Ground Zero and Aftermath.fm are offering magnificent deals for listeners. Check it out. For the entire month of December, fans of Ground Zero can get an exclusive membership for only $49 for the year. And that's not all. Premium memberships are only $79 for the year. Need some stocking stuffers? Well, we have something for that too. A premium friends and family plan is just $129 for the year. All memberships include access to all of Ground Zero's archived shows. That's thousands of hours of Ground Zero on demand. You'll have complete access to the document libraries and research groups, and you'll have full participation in a monthly Zoom chat with the man himself, Clyde Lewis. So what are you waiting for? Come on over and take advantage of these great Christmas deals right now. For more information, head on over to aftermath.media right now. Again, that's aftermath.media.
On June 1st, 1996, John and Joyce Edmonds purchased a ranch in Rainbow Valley, Arizona. What has ensued for the past 2+ decades beguiles all concepts of our reality. After 23 years, John has finally told his whole story. The story of Stardust Ranch transcends its geography and John and Joyce Edmonds themselves. It becomes a story for the human race at a very important time in our journey as people on this planet. Get your copy of Stardust Ranch, The Incredible True Story, available exclusively on Amazon in paperback, hardcover and Kindle.
It's Aftermath FM. Monday through Friday, 10:30 Pacific. You'll find us right here, immediately following Clyde Lewis and Ground Zero tonight. We have a bunch of stuff to talk about, but right now what we're talking about is a 770-year-old arc reactor. Got Dr. Rowe here. You can find him on freedomslips.com, Revolution Radio, Thursday nights, Studio B. Five o'clock Pacific? I think. We'll find out. It's Aftermath FM.
This quality won't come again. Completely overwhelmed with nothing. Compare the quiet to the pain. Just tell them
So we're going to get back into this here because I want you guys to hear some of the suppositions that he's going to be making here. And Praveen Mohan. Here we go.
Not a flower or a leaf or something that's available in nature. It's clearly a technical device. Archaeologists estimate that this temple was built around 1250 AD. So it was built approximately 800 years ago, although it could be much older. You cannot help but think this could be a rotating mechanism like a jet engine propeller we see on airplanes. From the center, you can see the protruding knob. It is clearly a knob, and it's exactly how jet propellers look. But this design is actually much more complex than a modern-day propeller. Now, you can see an electrician has put a light bulb in the center. This is done recently, but look how the wire is routed inside the carving, not in just one place, but in multiple places. This means the entire thing is hollow. This is a complex 3D model of an advanced machine. I'm not going to go into too much details about this because this video is not a technical presentation, but there are 5 concentric circles and there seem to be some parts radiating from the center. Each of these studs could be a coil, which is basically the same design as a modern-day arc reactor. Most of you will agree that yes, this is a fantastic design, and yes, it does remind you of Iron Man's arc reactor. But do I have any actual evidence that this was some sort of an energy device? This is just some fancy pattern ancient sculptors carved to impress us. It may not be a machine at all, right? I asked myself the same question, but this is what I found in the temple walls.
Before we get to the temple walls, I just want to say, you know, when these were discovered by Westerners, they showed up one day and they're, they came to this temple and they looked up, you guys. At that time, there was no jet engine. There was no CERN. So to them, all that really was just an interesting pattern on the ceiling, right? They had no idea what they might have been even looking at that time. And so that's how those are the writers of the so-called history, right? Is they don't even have a frame of reference to even understand what they're looking at. So,
no, not at all. And you know, as I look at it, I noticed some definite mechanical machine pieces there. I mean, nobody who looks at it wouldn't think that, but I mean, there's some interesting things. Like, so you got the octagon in the center with the kind of pine cone, but smoothed out pine cone, protuberance in the center. But then there's actually interlacing ones in the that center ring. Those little rods that go extending out, little bands that connect the rings. But when you get to the outer one, you can see, and it is one's in the center one as well. There's these slots that divide them. So you have like these pinnacles, and they look like like the same kind of cone teeth all the way around. But then you find these slots that are definitely machined. It looks like they have some kind of cotter pin, or so there's even a hole in the side where they go through.
Yeah, man. What do you think, Dr. Rowe? Now, this dude,
how old is this temple?
He says it's 800 to 1,000 years old. It's 800 to 1,000 years old. Now, here's the thing, too, is this guy is super good at sussing this stuff out, man. He's really, really good at reading these carvings, and the thing is this is his religion. So he can see what's carved and then discern that, and then also tie it to the religious aspect or the storyline around the myth of whatever it is. So I mean, it's the thing is, like we're saying, we've been told a certain story about history, and it's because people looking at this stuff at this time didn't even have a reference point to even remotely understand what they're looking at. It kind of makes me start to wonder now about the symbols and the cuneiform languages and all these different languages that they say that they've figured out what it means. Because if you made a mistake early on, wouldn't it screw everything up after that? I mean, just, you know what I mean? I mean, all you had to do was make a mistake early on and everything else, and there's no way to prove it out because your mistake might prove itself out. You know what I mean? It makes it look like it's right, but it's not right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I've often thought that some of these symbols that we use today, you know, like say the plus sign and the negative sign, or the cross for the Christianity, and you know the crescent moon, all meant different things long ago, and they've been completely removed from their old meaning and turned into something completely different.
Well, Epic Journeyman and I think you agree too, is we think there's a lot of the Sumerian symbolism is actually sound and frequency that denotes a specific frequency that's being hit and a pattern that will be revealed through that.
And I think we're still not sure about hieroglyphics, right?
Well, I mean, at this point, I guess it's whatever, you know, there's a cohesive story that's been put together based on bits and pieces that everybody made supposition from, extrapolated from limited information.
You know, talking about language and things, when I first moved to Europe, I lived in London for a little while, in Camden Town, and I visited the British Museum, and which is free, by the way. I was delighted to find out I could go in the British Museum for free and just hang out. And I went and touched the back side of, I touched the back of the Rosetta Stone.
Wow.
The Rosetta Stone there.
Get out of here.
Yeah, and it, you know, and I'm like, well, this is the front, but let's see what's in the back. It's just the back of a rock, you know. And I'm like, but nobody ever looks at the back, and it was out, you know, on display, and you could walk up and touch it. And I remember, I'm like, look, I'm touching. My friend was there. I'm like, I'm touching the Rosetta Stone.
Did you know? Did you know? I'm sure you do. That the queen, the throne that she sits on, the actual throne, that underneath that throne is Jacob's stone. The stone that Jacob leaned on when he saw the stairway from heaven come down.
Jacob's pillow, yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, man, it's serious. You should take a look. Google search.
Pillow stone, yeah, Jacob's pillow stone.
Yeah, and that throne is up on top of a 13. It's on the 13th level of steps that are going up to what some people say is a pyramid structure.
There's some interesting things about the UK. Real quick, I found out the other day. This has nothing to do with that. Just the random bit of trivia. There's a place in England called the Strid. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Okay, there's a place called the River Wharf, and the River Wharf is a wide, calm-looking river. You know, there's a monastery or an abbey up there, and it narrows. The River Wharf narrows into what they call the Strid, and you could literally jump over it, like, you know, it's a little creek. But what actually happens is it's actually dubbed the most deadliest river in the world, because the Wharf River doesn't actually narrow. It flips on its side, and it goes under these rocks, and the current that it goes downward, it's literally an underwater waterfall just a foot or two beneath the surface, so that anyone that steps into the Strid is pulled under, sucked under, like somebody grabs you and just sucks you under. And underneath is tunnels and caverns and a system of just, they're people that fall in, like if they find you, you're lucky. The people that have fallen in, they've never found, or after a month or a week later, they find them like a couple miles down or whatnot. They stuck a little camera down there, and it's absolutely chaos when it goes under just a few feet. down. It's just the water is just bubbles and currents and maelstroms, and it's an underwater waterfall river on its side. And it does that for a little while, and then it turns back into a normal river on the other side. But there's like these warning signs, but that say, hey, don't touch the water. Because if you
the queen sitting on her Jacob's pillow stone doesn't want you up in the rivers. But did you guys know there's an imam who says that the queen is a direct bloodline to Muhammad? And did you know most of the population in Egypt now, the people that are there, they're not from those original bloodlines at all? That all the bloodlines that are in Egypt now are not related to the royalty or the Muhammad at all.
I think that a lot of the populations on the planet have been mixed up a little bit. Did you know that there were pygmies that were killed off by what supposedly were the First Nations here in America? That they found, and even the natives, the Cherokee, talk about that they lived with the pygmies, not with them, but like the pygmies were over there in that section of the area, and they stayed away. They didn't like to go to where the pygmies were because bad things would happen. But they killed a lot of them off, and they've dug up a lot of mounds that we found giant bones, right? We found giants, but we've also found pygmies.
Now, see, I didn't know about the pygmies, but what I do want to say though is we got some stuff coming up here in a bit that has to do with the Antichrist and the Mahdi.
Al-Mahdi and Dajjal.
Yeah, but because there is a direct correlation. Now, there's also a lot of legend that seems to correlate with a lot of these carvings and these different monolithic places around the earth. It's so funny to me. I mean, all those years they've been looking at those heads, those giant heads on Easter Island. And it took all the way till 2021 till somebody said, "Hey, man, why don't we see what's underneath them heads?" It took them that long to dig them out and figure out they were bodies and heads, too. I mean, doesn't that seem a little ridiculous that it took that long? No, it never dawned on anybody. Hey, man, I found these heads over on Easter Island. This whole legend,
Right.
This whole legend develops around the head. What it was, how it got there, and all this. And the next thing you know, there's a whole body under there. So I mean, it's just like that. It's just like we've uncovered hardly anything of what existed. And the fact that library in Alexandria got burned down is the reason that we don't have the things that we used to have at this point.
That's a fact. You know what's cool about those Easter Island bodies is they have the same pose with the hands over the belly as the ones at Göbekli Tepe, and they have the little purse-looking thing that is both, not both, all over. It's there. It's in Iraq. It's in the Mayan sculptures. It's all over the world.
I'll tell you what. I see what you guys think. Turkey is a place that I think some of the biggest secrets that have ever been revealed will come out of Turkey. Like, I really believe it, man. There's something about Turkey for some reason. I just have this intense feeling that they're gonna discover something there.
Well, yeah, Turkey, they've already discovered a lot of interesting things there, with the underground cave cities and supposedly some other interesting like entrances into the earth and ancient sites, where they have these monoliths that they don't know how they moved them.
Yeah, man. I mean, literally, it is, look, there, I mean, some of these walls, some of the stone cutting to fit these stones together without any mortar. That they're just sitting there. I mean, there's no way those stones. There's absolutely no way somebody just, had some piece of material on the side of a stone and scraped it like that to get it into shape, man. There's absolutely no way. It looks like it's cut with a laser. I mean, I'm talking about Machu Picchu type cuttings. You know, these
or was the stone was it made more pliable? Like maybe its frequency turned it into a Jello block for a few minutes.
There you go. Could be. You could be. Maybe
that's what it looks like, right?
Maybe it was a device like this. You know, they carried a box that had a thing that they could use to cut. Let's check back in with Praveen.
Here, you can see the same device. You can see the circular part of this device, but it is attached to a thick cable. Looks remarkably similar to a modern-day multi-track cable. And you can see how it is connected to the right using these two attachments. And here's this guy holding a huge cylinder in his arms. The end of the cylinder is also attached to the right. But
So it looks like right, positive, negative. It's got two pieces coming out, right? It's a pocket. One's positive, one's negative, and you know something's coming out of the other end of that. And it's going right into this dude is charging some cylinder up. And there's a bunch of elephants, you know, that are helping him carry the cylinder. He's like standing there and he's got the cylinder, and there's an elephant right behind him helping him carry it. And he's standing there. He's standing next to a smaller version of that same, you know, CERN-looking device.
this doesn't make much sense. What is the connection between...
Hold on, I'm sorry. What did you say?
Well, they're showing you that it's heavy. They're making a point to show you it needs the elephant because it's heavy. Then all the men have that dangling. Is that clothing? What is that? The tail? What is that thing that they all have in between their legs dangling down? And looks like a reptile tail almost.
I'm not sure, but
check it out.
I don't know, but check this out.
This cylinder and the arc reactor. Let's go on the other.
The arc reactor. Is this the arc of the covenant technology? In other words, what they were carrying around in that box, was it doing the same thing this thing's doing? Is that they knew how to do back then? I don't know.
Side and see what's happening. On the other side, you can see the story of churning of the sea of milk. According to ancient texts, demons and gods churned the sea using a snake as a rope and a mountain as a churning rod. But this carving shows some very strange details. First, the churning rod is not a mountain. It's a pillar that has a smooth cylindrical middle part, and the top and bottom are square-shaped. But here's the weird part. The exact same pillars are found in the same temple. Look at this pillar. It has a square shape at the top and has a square-shaped bottom and has a smooth cylindrical middle part.
See, when I'm seeing these, I'm thinking to myself, they didn't just do that to those pillars just for ornate beauty or whatever. In other words, and immediately when I see these and I see how smooth they are, I see how detailed they are, I'm thinking to myself immediately what's going through my mind is, what are they made out of? Are they made out of some limestone or some material that was partial to, you know, helping to generate whatever this is? I don't know, man. I mean, I'm just saying, if you look at these pillars, they are laid. It looks like they're lathed out, doesn't it? Like somebody put them on a lathe.
You know what I'm finding out is I'm looking at that, but I found some better images of that. You know, what looks like a turbofan to some people.
Yeah.
And I'm zooming in, and there's all kinds of carvings on those things up above that you don't get to see in that picture. And they're like flowers and these different medallion-looking things. And you know where you find those also? Those exact same shapes is in Gaudi's Sagrada Familia Cathedral in Barcelona.
Yeah, cathedrals. It's like maybe there's some sort of attenuation device or attenuation tool.
It's exactly the same. They're exactly the same ones.
Right, exactly. And they're different. And so is this coincidence, or are these not just, for ornate things? Are these actually centers of power for some reason, of literal, harnessing the forces of the universe kinds of stuff?
Yeah,
I would say definitely
energies, scalar, whatever it is that we're missing, because we're missing something.
Yeah,
if
we're
looking
missing.
at these things going, look at, they're pretty, and not utilizing them for what they actually were meant for.
I think
I'll try to zoom in. I got to show you. You know what this one is? It's the tattoo on the back of our man McAfee.
Get out of here.
No shit, dude. I'll blow it up for you. I'll send it.
Okay, yeah, no, I totally believe you because you were on his tattoos now, and he had a direct connection to Spain and Gaudi, and so that's interesting that his tattoo is this thing.
Well, it's not this thing. It's one of the carvings. I'll blow it up.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, let's continue on.
And you see the central part. Archaeologists confirm that these are turn marks created by a rotating lathe machine, but maybe the ancient builders are showing us how these marks were actually created, how they turned, or shall I say, churned the pillar itself into this shape. But look what's right on top of this giant pillar. The large-scale arc reactor. Is it a coincidence that they put a large-scale arc reactor right next to this giant pillar? And now, look at this arc reactor directly connected to the rope that is turning this pillar. This is definitely some type of a machine that's fixed to the rope to churn it effectively. See, there's no way we can churn a giant stone pillar manually. We need advanced technology and a power source to create these amazing pillars. There are 2 arc reactors connected to this rope. One is in plain sight connected directly, and the second one is carved on the other side. It's plugged into the same wall where the rope is connected. This carving actually has more details, like the so-called snake's head is plugged into the floor. But there's...
That snake's so-called, they look like they're wrestling a snake. That ain't a snake, that's a cable. And that looks like light at the end of that cable, doesn't it? It looks
it's
like
like the Egyptian,
The Egyptians
one on the wall. Yeah.
The Egyptians, they apparently, when they were opening some of the tombs, and that these things were, some things that they found were still glowing until they disturbed them. And they had illumination sources. And of course, when you look at the pyramids, there's no soot. There's no marks of any soot from burning any torches. So they had clean illumination.
Well, see, he brings that up because he's only on the first part of this outside temple, and there's a second part where you go inside, and there's some space where there's different gods in these rooms. But there's also another one of these in there, and he's in there at noon, and it's pitch black. And so he's saying, how did they, or why would they put this beautiful thing inside a room where you'd never be able to see it? Somehow there had to be light in there, man. There's light in there now because they put a light bulb in there, but until then there wasn't. And so it's interesting because he turns off the light. He's like, see, it's pitch black in here. How did they carve it? They had to see to be able to carve it in there, didn't they? It's wild, man. It's a wild ride with Dr. Rowe, man. That's why. Well, listen, we're almost down here at the bottom of the hour break, man. Let's just do this now.
'Tis the season, and to celebrate, in the month of December, Ground Zero and Aftermath.fm are offering magnificent deals for listeners. Check it out. For the entire month of December, fans of Ground Zero can get an exclusive membership for only $49 for the year. And that's not all. Premium memberships are only $79 for the year. Need some stocking stuffers? Well, we have something for that too. A premium friends and family plan is just $129 for the year. All memberships include access to all of Ground Zero's archived shows. That's thousands of hours of Ground Zero on demand. You'll have complete access to the document libraries and research groups, and you'll have full participation in a monthly Zoom chat with the man himself, Clyde Lewis. So what are you waiting for? Come on over and take advantage of these great Christmas deals right now. For more information, head on over to aftermath.media right now. Again, that's aftermath.media.
How healthy are your arteries? Deteriorating circulation has a number of early warning signs. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, fingers and or toes often go cold, arms and or legs often go to sleep, sharp diagonal crease in the earlobe, short walks cause cramping or pains in legs, memory is not as good as it used to be, ankles swell late in the day, chest pain after physical exercise or emotional stress. If you experience even one of these symptoms, your circulatory system is crying out for attention. Extendivite is a natural solution to help improve your overall health. Extendivite is not your average heart tonic. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Monday through Friday, 10:30 Pacific. It's not your granddaddy's late night. We are the late night archaeologists of the hidden history of Earth. Tonight, the Right Reverend Dr. Rose here, Epijourneymous here. My name's Jimmy. This is King Buffalo, my new favorite band. King Buffalo, Dr. Rowe. What do you think about that?
Nice.
I know. Hey, you know, you should tell people on Sundays, you spin, don't you? For a couple hours.
Oh, just, yeah, for 1 hour.
1 hour?
2 to 3 on Studio A.
Yeah, man.
FreedomSlips.com.
Yeah, it's a good time, too, man. I listen, too, every Sunday, man.
Little
like
decompression, you know.
I do.
Chill for an hour.
That's right, man. I like to chill, man. I mean, I can only take so much. You know what I mean? It's like I go in the ring. I can take, you know, remember that, what was that game you used to play down at the arcade? It's like the boxing game. You fight that one dude. You fight the one dude, bald bull.
Body blow.
Yeah, body blow.
Uppercut.
Body blow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can only take so many body blows, man. That's why you got to bring in the music and clear.
Yeah,
it.
just, you know, a nice little chill Sunday afternoon just to kind of unwind and, you know, take all the seriousness away for an hour. Because, you know, Monday morning and all that, people are right back on things. And
What was the name of that game where it had this dude that would come on and go, I hunger?
I remember Sinistar.
Yeah, that's what it was. Sinistar. I hunger.
Hunger.
I dug that up, man. There's actually, you can find the audio for that, man. somebody's recorded that. I hunger.
Hey, when you were a teenager, did you used to get like a roll of quarters, get on your bike, ride down to the arcade, spend a few hours pumping quarters in machines and choo.
I did.
Rescuing mutants from Defender.
I did, but I was 16 when I did, so I drove my car down there. And a lot of what I did down there, I gotta say, was I was like a foosball dude, man.
Oh.
We used to play foosball, and it's like we used to
Air hockey. Remember air hockey?
I do, but foosball and the smacking of that ball in that goal with the hard quickness, like unseen by.
Those things.
Yeah, totally, man. That was some fun. Let me just tell you, man. There's some hardcore foosball players out there, man. There's dudes that'll do stuff with that. I mean, I don't even know how they can even. It's like they're actually playing soccer with this little wooden man on a straight stick.
I know.
You know what I mean? And somehow
like passing it back and forth and shit. Yeah.
Back, you know, they dribble back and forth and then go, just smack it right in the goal. You know, shit, man. And then you got older, start playing pools, drinking beers.
We had a place called the Great Entertainer, and it was a place that your mother and wouldn't want you to go. She would tell you, don't go down to the Entertainer, because that was like in the front was the arcade, but in the back was the bar and the pool hall, and that's where all the guys with the motorcycles would go. You know.
So there's liquor in the back, poker in the front.
There you go. But yeah. I remember one time I was there and I was in the front, you know, playing whatever video games like Asteroids or something. And I guess somebody came in and he was giving problems in the back. And the one guy, he ran out, and I remember seeing him pull his gun, and he ran out to the parking lot. And he had his gun out, man. He was ready to blow somebody away. The Great Entertainer.
I used to really like that. I used to really like that game called Night Driver too.
Oh yeah.
Remember that one?
They had a version you could sit in.
Yeah, that's the one.
You had a gear shift.
Yeah, I mean, even before, like when I was before I had a license, me and this whole gang of kids, we'd always go down the car lot and they'd leave the doors of the cars open, you know, because they want to sell cars or whatever. And we'd all go down and sit in these cars, you know, and like lean over and turn the radios on and shit. They go, "Hey, you kids, get out of here!" You know, there was like 3-4 of us, you know, doing it. But yeah, no, cars are good, cars are fun, and so is foosball, so is night driving. And so is the night driving through the archaeology of the Hindu religion, coinciding with this ancient technology perspective that we've had more than once on the Wild Ride. And that is because Dr. Rowe does not follow the beaten path. He goes off in the bushes where nobody goes with a machete and hacks his way through till he digs out the evidence that you've all been seeking for so long, that you've thirsted for on the sands of the bleeding deserts of Hades. I'm sorry, man. I got a little dramatic. But here comes Mr. Praveen.
Right next to this carving, here's a guy pulling out a circular arc reactor out of a shelf. What kind of a device was this? How did ancient builders use it? Here you can see
he's showing the guy. All right, now the guy is pulling one of these devices off a shelf, so it's big enough for him to pull off a shelf. The man in the depiction on the carving.
A soldier holding a big shield, but he's also holding a giant arc reactor attached to a long base. This is fascinating because guess what today's soldiers carry when they go to remote areas? Batteries. In fact, now governments have become more advanced and are making the soldiers carry solar batteries. Is it possible that ancient soldiers were also carrying their own energy source?
The Ark of the Covenant. Do you think the Covenant was hey man, I'll show you how to do this, but when I show you, you got to promise me that you won't do that, or ever. You'll never do it. And so they gave him the Ark of the Covenant, and then they broke the covenant, and the Ark ceased to work. What do you think about that? When I say they, I mean
they broke the covenant.
That's what I'm saying. When I say they, who are they? I don't know. Maybe they are them. You know, maybe them are us. You know, maybe we are them.
Well, there's always that we are them time traveler kind of aspect where time isn't linear, right?
That's right.
And we it's like ripples of a rock pebble in the cosmos, right? The waves going forth, and sometimes they hit the side of the cosmos, the ring, the border, and come back. When they come back and meet in the middle, that's us.
Did you know scientists recently? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Rowe.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
Right.
They are. And, you know, did you notice this thing that floated by about a couple days ago that scientists have now said that they noticed something coming out of a black hole?
I did, actually.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, you could Google that, man, real quick. I'll put Praveen back on here, but that
something
always
coming out of a black hole.
Something coming out of a black hole, yeah, man. Like it spits something out, like it poop, spits something out.
Nothing comes out of black holes.
Well, apparently something
Isn't that
did.
What you told us?
Apparently something has come out of a black hole.
How are you gonna escape a black hole?
I don't know.
Bizarro universe now.
Maybe if you're on the other side of the black hole, it's a white hole, and you pop out over here.
It's supposedly a quasar.
By Motorola.
So, Harvey.
I knew. You know what, man? Do you want me to tell you the story of the pimp named Quasar?
Yeah.
It's a good story, but I mean, it's a little bloody. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you the pimp story after we finish up here with Praveen. Remind me.
All right.
Remind me because you know he's a person who should be remembered. I don't know if he's still alive. He was way older than me, but remind me, Quasar the pimp. Quasar the killer pimp.
That clearly proves that this is not a flower or some type of decorative cloth or thin material. It's something really solid and sturdy. He's kneeling on the machine like how you will casually lean on a motor today while you're working on it.
So you guys see that little box, and it has that exact same device-looking propeller sort of thing. And there's a man, and he's leaning down on it. He's got one knee on it, and he's got his hand on the top of it. Looks like he might be holding something or a control or something. I don't know, man. I mean, that's the thing about these carvings is like, you know, this dude is looking at him, but most people that probably look at him, they don't see a lot of what he's seeing because they
instruction manual.
They don't take the time, man. This dude's really looking at this stuff, and he's looking, and he, you know what he really wants to see is the side view. The side view is everything to this dude because he's trying to figure out what is this generating electricity? That's what I'm trying to figure out, and that's why we got you guys along too. And hopefully, you know, if you have the capability, I know you're listening on the radio, maybe driving down the road in your truck, so don't look at the videos, but go over to Praveen Mohan's. He's got 1.32 million subscribers. So Praveen, this video's got 500,000 views. So, you know, Praveen's got some creds, man, I gotta say. And I really enjoy his videos, man. I watch them every night just because, you know, I need to get away from this horrible stuff that's going on. And so hopefully we're taking you away on a journey tonight here with Praveen. And there we go.
How the arc reactor is set on the floor. I'm tempted to say he's setting this on the floor to charge it or repair it or something. But it was definitely strong enough to withstand a man's weight. Yet, it was also small enough and light enough to carry this. So this is very advanced technology, like modern technology. Today we carry generators and small motors around, yet They are unbreakable. I found many carvings of this arc reactor. One is mounted on the wall with an L angle. Some are mounted using other type of stands. Some are even handheld devices. But here's the problem, right? Everywhere we see the arc reactor, it's just the front view. We don't know how it looks from the side. Only when we see the side view, we can understand more. But there are side views carved in the same temple. I'm going to show you 3 carvings side by side. Here's the first one. Take a look at this carefully. And here's the second one. It looks similar, but something is different. And here's the third carving. Very curious. Can you tell me what they are? In the first carving, you can see the side view of the arc reactor placed inside an enclosure.
Yeah, you guys see that? So you see it looks like it's got 3 separate chunks. And it looks like there's some, pipes or some cables running through the center of it. Hello.
Yeah, I'm not watching it.
You're not watching it?
No, I don't know what the time is. Timestamp.
Timestamp is 8:50.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I watched it earlier, but yeah, no, that it's trippy. Like everything that I see.
I know you're off into Spain and Gaudi by now, and
totally.
tying it
I'm
into
going back and forth. I'm checking out
McAfee.
all the patterns in that. All those little nodules on the end of those spokes on that temple ceiling. They're all different patterns. You think they're just all the same cone shape, but they're different sides to each one. They're not the same, which is tripping me out.
There's something, there's something to what we're seeing here, and I just think that it's generating energies like we say, the same sort of energy that's needed, or the same kind of harnessing of some sort of magnetic power that's the same thing that's used to fly ships off the face of the earth, fly around in our atmosphere. Same thing, right? By utilizing these same sort.
Yeah, like the electromagnetic kind of.
Yeah.
I think it's Urbana. I think it is. I think that's exactly what it's supposed to be.
Well, I mean, isn't it like the revolving of these materials around and around real fast that cause these magnetic fields to repulse off the face of the earth?
Yeah, and the reason that they're not totally balanced, right, on each spoke, the width of the spokes is the same, but the shapes on the end of each spoke are different, right? They're subtly different. So it's not making a perfect harmonic every time. It's dispersing that harmonic in different directions. And if these are counter-rotating spokes inside those rings, right?
Yeah.
Along with it, yeah. Then this is what this is. And it's all goes to that pine cone looking thing at the top. Start with a pine cone. They're all like kind of folding like flowers almost. Folded. We get a closer look at them. They're grooved. Each one of them is grooved. Like it could be petals that fold out. But each one of the flowers that surround that, when you get inside and look at the flowers, they're all different. A number of petals on the open flower behind them it's carved into the wall as well. So everything about this is meant to be not evenly spaced. It's meant to have the oddity to it, right? On purpose. Like there's the totally different number on each one of these. And I bet you the number is important.
Okay.
I bet there's math. I bet you there's math in here. Each one of those is a clue. The petals or numbers are supposed to add up.
Well, I guarantee you there's math in there. And, this sort of reminds me, the decoding, and this is just one temple. I mean, this temple isn't even a major temple. This is just like off to the side. This is the same. When he was walking into this place, I happened to see that other anti-gravity tower that he was talking about. And it's a 40-foot pillar with a square on the top and a square on the bottom, and then you can go check it out or I'll bring it over here in a minute. But the thing is, this is just standing there. Okay, a 40-foot tower is a 4-story building, just to give you an idea of how tall that is.
There's one outside this temple, actually.
That's what I mean. It's the same temple. It's the same temple, and the thing was that there's another piece of this temple that goes with that pillar, And on that one, there's Moshi, I think is the name of the goddess. And it's all around the top of the temple is Moshi, and she's dancing, and she has one hand, one arm going behind her head, and her fingers coming down over the top of her forehead, like kind of above her nose, right where her third eye is. And there's a drip of water coming off her finger. And so this same image that goes across the top of this temple, so that what they did is they cut a chunk of it off. Okay, and they brought it down to the ground, and Gandhi and the guy at the time who was the head at in India, they both went there to observe this demonstration, which was they took a drop of water and they put it on the finger. And the water dripped, and it went down off the finger, touched her nose, went down and hit her nipple, and went down, and her foot was twisted backwards down below, and it hit her toe, her big toe. So this was a demonstration that they were showing through the sculptures that this was a demonstration that they understood gravity. And that pillar is sitting right out front of that same temple. And this is the same dude, Praveen. He's the one that went through the whole explanation of that. You can find it. It's called Anti-Gravity Tower, I think it's called. What's really interesting about that, too, is he found this carving of, I'm pretty sure I think it was a dragon. It's on the same temple, a dragon, and there was some clocking mechanism, and the dragon had a stone in his mouth, and he would let it go. And he was saying that the reason that he noticed this whole thing was because the stone fell off the top of this tower, and because of this 2.3 earthquake, and he was trying to suggest that they had a way of knowing that an earthquake happened with these little mechanisms that they have. He also shows pillars like the one in this particular temple, and at the top where they have that bulbous round piece, that thing spins around, even though it looks like it's totally like a piece of rock, but it's sitting. I mean, it's cut in such a way. Same thing with that anti-gravity tower thing. That thing is literally sitting flat as a piece of paper. The square that's holding that up, man. It's literally, they had pictures of guys that were sticking stuff underneath it to show there was no cement. Like they were dragging rags and shit under there, to the point that the government had to stop people from going over there and touching it, because people were dragging rags underneath it or whatever, to show there was no cement. It's just standing there 40 feet tall, and it's been standing there for 1,000 years, man.
There's that one down the road a bit in New Delhi, too. It's the one that's made out of iron that doesn't rust. Something of Enigma, right? It's been there, same thing, for all these years, and it doesn't rust.
I just think we're
made out of iron.
Dr. Rowe, we're out of the loop, man. Don't you think? We're out of the loop. I think there's something bigger and better going on, and somehow we've been diverted down to some consumer mechanism for the powers that be to make money. It's impossible. But listen, don't worry about a thing, because we're cutting through the BS. Here comes Praveen.
Arc reactor is. The arc reactor is basically this large cylinder which is made of a bunch of small wire-like tubes neatly arranged. But what is even more interesting is the housing or the enclosure that holds it. In the second carving, that empty enclosure is shown without the arc reactor inside. This is just the empty device that holds the arc reactor. At the moment, the arc reactor is not placed inside because you cannot see that stack of cylinders.
He right now he's looking at a cylinder that has some squares, some rectangles coming down in 3 places, and it looks like that these wheel things are sitting in between each of the rectangles. So you got the rectangle, and then you see the side of that wheel that looks like a jet engine or a CERN device.
Empty now. The enclosure itself looks quite advanced. Look at the bottom. There are 3 legs at the bottom and 3 vertical pipes and a covering on top. So when you put the arc reactor inside the housing, it will again look like this. You can see this in the first and third carvings. So we are looking at a step-by-step manual showing the parts of the arc reactor system. This is why they are carved side by side. This is the housing that holds the arc reactor, and then we place the arc reactor inside and it will look like this. I've already shown you in a different video how ancient temples show step-by-step process of making things, including complex knots. By the way, the enclosure itself would have served an important purpose. It was a cooling system for the arc reactor. Let me show you today's advanced technology on how we want to cool electric motors.
Okay, so right now what he's going to do is he's going to go through a motor that's just now been come into use in 2019. So the technology that he's describing in this temple looks like this modern chunk of cooling mechanisms they have. Check this out.
This was designed just 2 years ago in 2019. Here's the motor in the center, and it's placed inside the cooling system. The enclosure contains a long-winded pipe with coolant, and it's wrapped around the motor. So when the motor heats up, the coolant will absorb the heat. This is exactly what we are seeing in this enclosure. These 3 lines are the same pipe going around the arc reactor. And at the bottom, there are legs and some airspace to dissipate heat. Here, you can see the arc reactor's front view. It looks circular and has a large base. In the next carving, you can see the side view of this. It looks quite thick and bulky. And you can see it has those wires or coils stacked inside. It's big, it's thick, it's bigger than this person's head. Too bad it's been eroded a little bit, but we have the side view and the front view of the arc reactor now. But we do need to see how it looks from the back, because most machines like the arc reactor,
whether you're building dynamic network models or forecasting real
from the front and side, but when we see the back,
oh man, it's a never-ending barrage.
One of the things that are
it's a barrage, but I'm fast like Quick Draw McGraw, man. Oh, speaking of Quick Draw McGraw, I got to tell you guys what happened to me earlier. Now you're going to believe this, man. All right, anyways, here we go. We're top of the hour. My name's Jimmy. It's in the microcosm. We're talking about ancient technology. Dr. Rose here. Epic Journeyman's here. You're here. Welcome to the alternative universe of Aftermath FM. This ain't your granddaddy's late night in stereo.
Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis. Live Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific. But what happens when you miss an episode? Aftermath.fm is the official free streaming network of Ground Zero, featuring some of the top voices in paranormal and parapolitical radio and podcasts, such as The Leo Zagami Show, Into the Microcosm with Jimmy Jean, The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable, The Kev Baker Show, The Infinite Fringe with Billy Ray Valentine, and much, much more. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Aftermath.fm right now and get complete on-demand access to the Ground Zero archives, as well as the works of a dozen other hosts. Sign up right now and get complete access to our study groups, videos and document archives, and connect with other listeners on our private social media network. Aftermath.fm, home of quality counterculture talk radio. Aftermath.fm.
Don't regret growing old. It's a privilege denied to many. Heart disease is taking our youth from us. Young people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond are dying needlessly. One of the hardest messages I've ever had to deliver is to convince people that something natural like Extendivite should be taken as a preventative measure. I'm sure you heard, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Extendivite is that ounce. Take Extendivite for 1 year and see what your doctor has to say and how much better you feel. Herbs take time to address the problem. It took years of life to have a problem. Give Extendivite 1 year to fix the problem. Don't wait until it's too late. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or visit us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
On June 1st, 1996, John and Joyce Edmonds purchased a ranch in Rainbow Valley, Arizona. What has ensued for the past 2+ decades beguiles all concepts of our reality. After 23 years, John has finally told his whole story. The story of Stardust Ranch transcends its geography and John and Joyce Edmonds themselves. It becomes a story for the human race at a very important time in our journey as people on this planet. Get your copy of Stardust Ranch, The Incredible True Story, available exclusively on Amazon in paperback, hardcover, and Kindle.
Cobra Thief, Hollowed Halls session. Mom's Jimmy. It's Aftermath FM. Wakey, wakey. Man, that kicks ass, I say. In my personal evaluation, I say Cobra Thief, the Hollowed Halls sessions is some ass-kicking shit. What do you guys think? Cobra Thief.
Cobra Kai.
Did you see Alex Jones got a master class, man?
No, I saw him with the
I
rose.
swear to God.
I got a little ad email thing. He wants to charge like $200 and something.
He is out of his mind, man.
First, he was selling like these little silver coins. Like, okay, I can understand that. You get a little commemorative silver thing to fund something, and it's silver. But now he's like, yeah, give me a couple $100 for a master class. What's he teaching?
Well, let me just say, what's he going to say in the master class as he hasn't already said for free over the air?
No,
Is he hiding something? What, has he got some what, do you got to be a secret member of his society with $200?
You know, I mean, I watch once in a while.
Master.
I'll check out InfoWars and stuff, but I don't think I'm going to be sending them. I've actually bought some of their supplements.
Well, hey, let me ask you a question, man. We should, you know what, man, next week when you come by, let's do a whole section of a show where it's like, let me ask you a question, and people can call in and ask you a question.
Ask me anything, and what is it? AKA?
Yeah, axe.
AMA.
Yeah. So
Ask me anything.
exactly, Epic Journeyman. People can call in and ask you a question. Stomp the Journeyman.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, it'll be like
It's gonna be good today though. 'Cause
It's
I'm
let
kind
me
of out of it today.
let me ask you a question and let me stomp you, Epic Journeyman. Do you know? I'm gonna say this. I just want to say before we move on. Kurt Wilson, the armchair survivalist, is dead. He passed away.
man.
Nah, man, I swear to God. And you know, he was just recently on the show, man. One of the last shows I did over on Revolution Radio, my Monday show, he was on there. You know, and I always loved the armchair, man. And you know, he put a lot of time and energy into just, you know, giving it up, man, for people. He was one of those dudes. He's like Mr. Rowe or Epic Journeyman. He was like one of those dudes, man, that you could just say something to him, and he did so many different things in his life that he could just bring to the table, man, in any conversation, which made him just a knowledgeable dude. He used to have a section on there where you try to stump him, and no one ever stumped him, and he got stumped on our show because we had a caller call in. It was man, I'll remember who it was specifically, but he called in and asked him about shungite, and the armchair didn't know. But he had the balls to say he didn't. You know what I mean? It was Doctor Who over on Revolution Radio who called in the show. It was Doctor Who.
Doc Who.
It was Doc Who. He called in about shungite.
Yeah, shungite.
Yeah, man. So, hey, just a heads up, man. God bless the guy. He put a lot of years, man. He was on shortwave still. You know, he got kicked off. He was on GCN. Okay, and he got kicked off of there because he had a survival show. And, you know, he talked about that, and you know, he talked about news stuff, but I mean, he talked about survival things so you could help you to, you know, survive. And he sold food. And so the thing was, Alex at that time had some dude who had this really, really super expensive food. I think it was like $4,500 or something like this. No, I'm dead serious too. And so they threw off the armchair off of GCN because he was because his shit was competing. And then Armchair went over to like Oracle Broadcasting. He was on there for a bit, and then something happened over there, and they just didn't like him over there either. So he just went off and did his own thing, and so a lot of people just lost track of him, you know. But he was over there on shortwave, still doing his show every Sunday. I mean, my mom even liked him. You know, I used to listen to him every Sunday, man. He's a you know, and you know, hey man, good friend of ours, you know, good friend of yours, John Wayne. He, you know, I heard what he was saying the other day on his show. You know, and it's been a lot of people over the last couple of years in the alternative media that not around anymore, not going to be around.
John, we almost lost John.
I know.
Yeah, so they had to life flight him, and so he, but they put the stint in, and he seems to be doing better.
God bless him, man. I'm, you know, so glad to hear that he's, you know, that he made it. I mean, some people aren't making it, man.
I know, and it's all around us. It seems, you know, I mean, it's noticeable. There's a lot of people dying. Death has gone up, you know, just from maybe people that you don't particularly know personally, but there's a sports guy here and an actor there and a news person there and a talk show host here and an individual there. You just keep hearing it,
I know.
and it's always like a heart attack or something. And
I know. It's, the thing is, man, it's to the point now where when you don't hear from somebody for a few days, you start wondering.
In fact, it's funny. I mean, it's not funny, but it's my next door neighbor. I was last week. I think we were doing a show, and right after the show ended, it was about 1 a.m. here. I saw these flashing lights outside my curtain in the living room. So I looked outside, and there was an ambulance. Didn't have a siren or anything. Just came up real fast, but they parked right in front of my house. And I'm like, I think I'm feeling okay. And then they got out. Right? They got out, and they walked to my next door neighbor, and they went in there, and they spent, I guess, a good 45 minutes or so in there, and they drove away quietly. And ever since then, it's been really quiet next door. And they usually party. I mean, these are some Mexican folks that they're a big family. They're always partying.
They're having a good time.
All right. But now it's real. And I'm wondering, I just can't help but wonder, because the old guy, he wasn't in the best of health. He's a nice guy and all that. But I know that they fell for the media propaganda, so they're towing that line. And I'm just wondering if they caught up with them.
I don't know, man. I used to see a brother give him 5. Now I say, man, you still alive? Well, listen, man. We got the Antichrist over here in the green room. He's waiting to come in, and I can't let him in until probably...
You don't piss him off.
Well, he's not going to get pissed. I mean, he's definitely satiated. You know what's in the green room.
Right, obviously.
Right. That keeps everybody, when on the break there's so much... I go in, there's so much smoke.
The green in the green is really green.
It's green, man. The grass is always greener on the other side.
Grass is always greenest in the green room.
Especially if you're at Green Acres. And don't forget, Christmas is coming up. Green eggs and ham.
We don't play baseball. We play temple ball.
Placed inside an enclosure. You can see how thick the arc reactor is. The arc reactor is basically this large cylinder which is made of a bunch of small wire-like tubes neatly arranged. But what is even more interesting is the housing or the enclosure that holds it. In the second carving, that empty enclosure is shown without the arc reactor inside. This is just the empty device that holds the arc reactor. At the moment, the arc reactor is not placed inside because you cannot see that stack of cylinders. It's empty now. The enclosure itself looks quite advanced. Look at the bottom, the arc reactor's back view. The design seems so advanced, it just seems like alien technology. At the top, there's the arc reactor, but it has a long, thick cable running down. And there are 6 protrusions attached to that cable, 3 on either side. Even the protrusions have smaller tracks or partitions. I mean, it looks like an insanely complex machine with multiple attachments. If it's not a machine, how do you explain this? Now, what do I mean when I call this an arc reactor, right? I don't exactly mean a perpetual motion device or even a nuclear reactor. It could be that too, but it could be any machine like a motor, a turbine, a magnetic generator, or propeller. I don't know exactly what this is, but I do know it is an advanced ancient machine. But remember, according to experts and mainstream media, it's an insane claim to say such a machine existed 800 years ago. Okay, so far I've only shown you the carvings outside, but now let's go inside the temple and find out what's up there.
What's up there? I'll tell you what's up there. It's another one of the same exact things that's outside, except it's inside and it's in the dark. And there's no way it could have been in the dark because it's noon, midday, and there's no light inside there. There had to be electricity of some kind or some sort of light or illumination. So we're shifting gears, ladies and gentlemen. It's Aftermath FM.
To know if I should lick my wounds or say it was me instead. There's an aching inside my head. It's telling me you're better off alone. But after midnight, morning will come. Every day we'll see if you went and get some. They say that girl, you know she acts too tough. Well, it's gonna turn off the light. Turn off the light. They say that girl, you know she acts so rough. Well, it's gonna turn off the light. Turn off the light. I said, follow me down, till you see all my dreams. Not everything in this magical world is what
The divine method of positive identification is repeated. As the son of Mary comes down in the masjid, Imam al-Mahdi says, here he is, this is the son of Mary. And history repeats itself. And then the son of Mary responds and identifies himself. Imam asks him, you lead the salat. He says, no, you are the Imam, you lead. After the salat, then the confrontation takes place between the false Messiah and the true Messiah. And the false Messiah is killed. And then Gog and Magog are destroyed. The Sea of Galilee is dry. And after Gog and Magog are destroyed and Dajjal is killed, now the state of Israel is without any support. Now it's going to be a level battlefield. A level battlefield. I may be wrong, but I suspect that there's going to be a massive collapse of the world of modern technology. I suspect that. And so horses are now going to be used once again. Yeah. The army now comes out of Khorasan, and that army attacks and destroys the state of Israel. The first time it was a Babylonian army. The second time it was a Roman army. And after the Roman army destroyed them and threw them out of the land, Allah said, وَإِنْ عُدْتُمْ عُدْنَا وَإِنْ عُدْتُمْ عُدْنَا. If you return with your fasad, we will return with our punishment. They return with their fasad. It's happening now before your eyes. And so Allah returns with His punishment. وَإِنْ عُدْتُمْ عُدْنَا. And so now the Muslim army destroys the state of Israel.
Damn. Woo. It's Aftermath FM. Sure, it's your granddaddy's late night. So what was the name of this imam? Do you?
That is Imam Imran Hussein.
Uh-huh.
And he's an interesting. Listen, you know, he everybody's got their prophecies and stuff, but his
right.
And his vantage point, of course, is from the Islam standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of interesting parallels, and I just like the way he tells stories sometimes.
There are a lot of interesting parallels, and I've been trying to put something together for the longest time, and I really wanted to get a hold of Kevin Barrett because the Antichrist figure.
I can put you in touch with Kevin Barrett. I produce him.
Yeah, well, that'd be great, man, because I'd really like to talk about the similarities between some of the things that the Mahdi does are some of the same exact things that the Bible's Antichrist figure does, right?
Exact.
The Dajal's, I think that's how I pronounce it, is the evil guy.
Dajjal,
It's like the
yeah.
Antichrist. Yeah, he's the false prophet.
Right,
And
but-
he's the Antichrist, basically.
Yeah,
and then, the Mahdi and Isa's Jesus, they defeat the Dajjal.
The son of Mary.
Yes, son of Mary. Yep.
Right, but see, the thing about it is, though, is that what I'm saying is that in the Bible, the Antichrist does certain stuff. He has certain deeds that he does, and the Mahdi, which is the Jesus, is the savior figure in Islam, does some of the same things that the Antichrist does in the Bible. So what I'm saying is, when this figure arrives, half of the people in the world are going to think it's the Antichrist, and half the people in the world are going to think it's the Savior.
And of course, there's supposed to be signs, like he talks about the Sea of Galilee running dry, the day which seems like a week.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
yeah.
Well, the day that seems like a week. And this is part of the reason why we brought him to the table tonight, is because there's a lot of stirring going around right now about something called the warning. And we've talked about it. We've dipped our toe into it a couple of times, but
And another sign is the Dajjal will be followed by 70,000 Jews of Isfahan wearing Persian shawls. And this is from Sahih Muslim 2944.
Interesting. Well, the moment and the warning supposedly is this thing that came out of the Fatima girls. Okay, and you were saying you don't put much stock in the Fatima girls, and who's to say? But Mary was who came to the girls, and the mother of Jesus there over over there with the Muslims. Mary. And
I don't know if this means anything, but how everybody's wearing masks and stuff like that. There's another entry, Dajjal. According to the prophet, he will emerge in a land in the east called Khorasan, and will be followed by people with faces like hammered shields.
Interesting.
Robots.
Maybe,
And
but
it is-
masks, I think, makes sense to our times that we're in.
And he'll have a mark on his forehead. The Prophet Muhammad stated that, another fact about Dajjal, that there will be written 3 letters, and it'll be saying kafir.
And what does that mean?
Kafir.
It's lion in Hebrew. I don't know what it is in Arabic.
Well,
in Arabic, Kafir. I'll get the exact translation.
Okay, so the thing is that just there, he said there was a day that lasted, seemed like it was a week.
An insulting term used by some Muslims for non-Muslims.
I see.
So
there you go.
like a goyim.
So the day that lasts a week, it's the same thing around this warning, because they don't call it Fatima anymore. They call it something else. It begins with a G. I can't think of what it is now. But there's a piece in there where it says the Pope will go to Moscow, and the Pope's never been to Russia or Moscow, and so this would be a real something that would stick out. Well, so this Pope that we have now, they said last week, they said he's dying, and they also said he was going to Moscow. And they said that the Russian Orthodox Church was coming to meet him to decide where exactly he was going to go. And so now that brings to mind this prophecy or whatever that had been put out about this warning. So the warning is interesting. And there's another interesting piece. Now, have you seen this time traveler who's on TikTok? He says he's from Spain.
I saw that, and And if you watch all his videos, one of the last ones, he goes to a police station. And he walks into the police station, and then he goes to a police car that's literally running. And he gets in the car, and then he drives. I think the guy's just a cop or one of these guys that has access. I don't think he's a time traveler. I think he was just very clever. But go ahead.
Well, what's interesting about his story is that this year, on December 25th, was going to be a moment that will change humanity forever.
Yeah.
So that's an abstract, but then all of a sudden, Pope's going to Moscow. This warning idea comes up, and what the warning is that there will be a moment in time where time stops for everyone. And in that moment, everyone will see their souls as God sees your soul. So,
now where does this come from?
This is in the prophecy of this warning.
Oh, okay.
So that time will stop when the Pope goes to Moscow. Right after that is when this warning will happen. And so when this warning happens and time stops for everybody, then it'll be a universal experience that happens all at the same time for every single human being on Earth. And so everyone will have that in common, and everyone will know about it, and they'll be trying to explain it away, trying to figure out what it is. They'll say it was some cosmic energy thing or whatever. But the thing is that time, if you took away the earthly aspect of time and that moment stopped for a minute, you could be on the other side for a period of time, long enough for you to look at yourself just like you would in the moment right before you die, where your life flashes before your eyes. So, and in this moment, there's going to be a lot of sorrow and guilt. People are going to feel bad because they're going to realize that a lot of the things they didn't think anything of actually did mean something. Like when you weren't nice to that person, that really actually meant something. It wasn't just an offhanded comment. It actually had meaning. It actually meant something. So when people start to find that out, the amount of loosh that will be let out on the earth will be the amount of energy needed for the Antichrist to come forward and then take credit for this moment. And then some say that this is the sixth seal ramifications will happen then soon thereafter. It's horrifying, man. It's horrifying, man. And I'm just going to say, there's some weird stuff been going on with the magnetic field. And ever since Thanksgiving, time seems like it stood still. Days go by like weeks. Literally, it's exactly like it's described. And it just makes me wonder if all of these things are describing the moment that everyone's feared for so long, which is where the magnetic poles are going to flip and wipe out the hard drives of the brains. Because we got a lot of iron in us, don't we? There's a lot of in our. So I mean, couldn't a magnetic pole shift wipe our memories out?
Oh, that'd be weird.
Just weird comment about iron. Did you know that a single, I don't know if it's a molecule or atom, no, it's got to be more than atom, you'd think, of iron, if it was in the core of the sun, would cause it to nova. In other words, it's the last thing in the world you want, like before a sun goes nova, that's what triggers it, basically. It was trying to fight all that. It's radiating, it's doing this thing when the iron hits the generating core of the sun, it novas.
Wow.
So, yeah, in that trip. So when you think about, maybe it's not a good thing to have too much iron. I don't know.
How do they know that?
But that's what I want to know.
Well, I don't know. How do they know? Let's make something up and make it sound cool. No.
Yeah, no, I was watching Cosmos or something. It was on there.
One molecule of iron, and boom, you're all dead.
Yeah, I'll look it up on.
Yeah, no, it's wild. And let me see here. I'm trying to get you this video. there's, you know who Suspicious Observers is, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's been doing work on the magnetic field, obviously. And let me see here now. Let me see here. I'm just trying to find the first one. Here it is. I'm going to give you this first, all right? So let's take a listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. Because, honestly, this moment, this jump in consciousness, all of this could totally happen as a result of this a pole flipping situation, because we don't know what it like. There's no reports of what it's like to be a human being when this happens. And it's clear that it's happened before. So I mean, there's no question about whether or not it happens or if it's gonna happen. And the thing that's really disturbing is the movement of the true north and how they said it's been moving. And turns out that they were wrong, and they were really wrong. And so there's a certain point where there's the tip, obviously something called the tipping point, where it just gets so far off to the side that it just goes, man. And when it does, and it happens right then. And maybe that's, where you hear about these things like 3 days of darkness or the stoppage of time. I think it's all has to do with magnetic.
Foundational elements of this channel, one of the most remarkable moments in history time and time again, and one of the most dire conditions of our modern existence is the weakening of Earth's magnetic field. We're going to dive deeper on a recent update to this ongoing event, and we will end by learning just how fast the magnetic field is going to be declining when it hits full speed. This week, we reviewed this article and discussed how the weakening magnetic field is beginning to allow significant penetration advancement of charged particles into Earth's upper atmospheric layers. To understand just how significant of a change has taken place, we will look not at the polar fields wrapping around the globe, but the L shells, the smaller arcs that touch lower latitudes, and while they go up to L6 and beyond in theory, the innermost shells here are what are most important. The number corresponds to Earth radii altitude, so the L1.5 shell extends out to 1.5 Earth radii. The particles in focus in this paper are said to have dropped from a little less than 1 Earth radius down more than 500 kilometers, and that is not such a small change at all, especially when you consider that it's not been a constant drop, not by a long shot. The process has been accelerating, making this a direct measurement of one of the scariest potential events for an excitement of that lowest L shell in a solar superstorm. Both of those animations are from NASA and represent what happens when the sun juices up those fields in modern-day regular storms and when a major event happens, modeled with a magnetar burst. That'd be fun on Earth, eh? Now, this outlook of sustained acceleration to significant levels makes us ask, well, just how fast can this magnetic event unfold on Earth? Well, for that, it helps to look at curves. This is literally the best resolution graphic that paper had to offer, which is absurd. But top right, we have the drop in altitude over time, but with a straight regression line that obviously does not capture the true nature of the curve, which is accelerating downward. And so, I just copied that real curve onto a blank sheet, and we can start from here. Folks, I've looked at the data of the magnetic field weakening enough to know that this curve of particle penetration looks pretty darn close to the overall field loss. So, how fast are things going to get? Well, first let's review where we are now. The most famous announcement of the 10% field loss was in the year 2000 by NASA. Here we not only learned about the weakening field, but that the magnetic poles were shifting and speeding up. In the north, this modern shift began in 1859, coincident with the Great Carrington Event solar storm, and the North Pole has now gone over the top, as they say, and is heading southward towards Siberia. During this time, the South Magnetic Pole has been on a slower saunter, but is way out in the lead, already having left the continent of Antarctica. In 2010, the European Space Agency updated that number from 10% to 15%, which is really a psychotically huge jump from the 10% lost from 1859 up to 2000. But it was real, and the leader of the mission measuring Earth's magnetic field made no bones about the fact that Earth's magnetic field was getting ready to flip. He quickly and very quietly lost his position shortly after revealing that Earth's magnetic field had gone from losing 5% per century to 5% per decade. This put a lot of folks on notice, especially those who were repeatedly proving that these events are extinction-level moments for many species and major hits to the biosphere, and doing so in the top journals, and for those tracking the field across the world and showing how rapidly this event is happening while we all clamor over COVID and climate change. Folks, we are in big trouble. For those who forget, the official science says that when she goes fast, 100 times the mark used by NASA's 5% per century. Severely extreme. And by the way, that would be 5% lost per year, about 1% every 72 days. When she goes, it's going to be a couple years at most. That's not a joke. This is not a joke. At 5% loss per decade, we are now down 20% or more, and if Earth's magnetic field accelerates again, it is very bad news, and as many of you probably recall, it is very likely that it has accelerated again in the 2019 and 2020 geomagnetic jerk after the more regionally focused shift in 2017. Below this video, you will find a playlist, the playlist, detailing what this cycle is on Earth, how terrible it has been in the past, and how we're due in the cycle timeline again. And what do you know? Observational evidence of every kind indicates that fate appears unwilling to show mercy or alter her gait for the sake of our vanity. And she's at the front
Chapter
gate
6.
right now.
And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, Come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, Come and see. And I looked, and behold a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God, and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? And white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also, and their brethren, that should be killed as they were, should be fulfilled. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun...
All right. That was leading up until this. And this is the whole reason I thought this was only going to be this 8th seal. But this is the seal that goes along with this warning thing, which coincides with this magnetic field thing, which coincides with the moment that changes humanity forever from this random time traveler dude. Here
became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became...
Listen to this part about them trying to hide in their
And the moon
holes.
became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll also, and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became...
Great earthquake, sun became a black sackcloth. I mean, that'd be kind of like a black sackcloth if the earth was spinning, don't you think? Or if the magnetic field was changing. I mean, would light still be, like, see what I mean? If the magnetic field was flipping, would things still be the same? Would it go dark? It's turned black as sackcloth. I don't know. A great earthquake, I would say. Doesn't mean the skin of the earth's gonna move or anything like that. But I mean, if the magnetic fields flip, who knows what happens?
And if that moves, does that have any effect on people that have maybe had their selves magnetized for whatever reason?
That's what I was wondering. Yeah, because it happens every 13,000 years or so, right? It's in the basalt and the ocean floor. They can see it. And so there was a mass extinction about that long ago, actually, but about 12,000 years ago. But before that, no, not really. So life survives. So you got to wonder what it would do. Would it change your the way you look at the world? Would the birds fly the wrong way? I mean, it would. You'd think, right?
Well, I know when I go over the top of the Rocky Mountains and I see water flowing away from the ocean, it makes me nervous. I always try to look at the water and see if it's actually flowing down or is it flowing uphill back to the ocean. It's weird, man. There's a lot of there's just so many different things that go on with the magnetic field, and I think it goes back to the ancient technology that we were talking about earlier. But here, let's finish up here with this because, see, did you notice that it also had that same thing as like the Fatima thing, where it was saying that they said, hey, put on these white robes and go forth because you're the ones that are going to have to get killed. And it's right before this warning. So it's interesting, it's like, I don't know, it's really interesting, man.
Blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a...
The stars of heaven fell unto the earth, like, right?
Tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens, and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?
The great day of wrath. Man, the great day of wrath sounds a lot like the magnetic poles are flipping. Doesn't it? I'm just saying, man. I mean, that's like writing a fiction story. You just put all these abstract points together and, all of a sudden you got the Great Awakening, the shift in consciousness, the dual timeline theory. Oh, if you believe this, you'll be here, and if you believe that, you'll go there.
Well, I would say that the one thing that might happen with the poles shifting is the rolling of the sky like a scroll, because what would happen would be that the aurora borealis kind of effect, right? Mm-hmm. What happened would be as magnetosphere shifted to go with it, right? You get that aurora borealis kind of effect, right? So the sky would light up, most likely, I would think. It happened instantaneously.
Well,
so you get that effect of the sky going away for a minute, right? Just be all covered in green or whatever it's going to be, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So, all right, listen, we only got a few minutes left. Man, you're not even going to believe what happened to me earlier. I think I had some divine intervention earlier. Now, my mom hasn't been feeling too well, so I left here earlier. I was hanging out with Brandy and them earlier doing a show. So I was on my way out, and I poured myself this giant cup of hot coffee. It's like an extra large cup. Got it there. It's all hot, man. I'm ready to hit my car, drink it, head on back to the house. So I'm running downstairs. I haul ass, and I'm going out to my car. And as I'm hauling ass in the sense that I'm walking super fast, and I'm to the sense that I'm leaning into it. So I'm like face first, I'm walking really fast, and I tripped over this curb. Like I hit my toe on it and tripped, and it knocked me completely off my feet. So like I'm in midair. I'm falling forward at full speed. I got a coffee cup in one hand, and I'm falling forward. And as I'm falling forward, I'm going, man, I'm gonna fucking smash my face on this concrete. That's what I'm thinking. And right at the last second, man, I tucked my head down, like I tucked my head down to my chest, and I did a flip, man, and I landed on my feet, dude. I don't mean like standing up. I mean, at a squat. And I still have my coffee cup in my hand, but the coffee all spilled out of it. But I literally...
The neighbors would go, that's the most athletic guy I've ever seen in my life.
Dude, I swear to God, I looked around to see if anybody saw this shit, because I couldn't even believe it, man. I swear to God, man. I was like, I couldn't believe it. It was crazy, man. It really was. And I mean, I'm telling you, I was going full speed at the cement. It was like have you ever jumped on trampolines? You know how you jump up and then you come down kind of face first, and then you sort of look, tuck your head and do a flip, bounce up, that kind of thing. That's what it's like, man. It's a good thing I used to jump on trampolines when I was a kid. Otherwise, who knows, man? I might not be here. I was going that fast, man. Seriously. I swear to God, I was thinking about, because I broke my nose a few times, and I was thinking this is gonna hurt, man.
Right. Imminent, you can feel it before you hit. You're like, oh no.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Cool. I was glad it worked out.
I know.
I slipped at work today. I was out in the boonies there, and it's been raining, right? So, car got stuck in the mud. I had to get out of the truck to put the tires in four-wheel drive because I forgot the wheels, right? Stupid old truck still has locking hubs, and so I go out there, I put it in, I lock it, and no sooner try to get in the truck than I dive, man. My feet came right out from under me. Practically into the truck, man. Yeah.
Well, you got to tell us the pimp story.
Quasar, the killer pimp. All right, well, Quasar was married to a friend of mine. He was married to a friend of mine's sister. And so she caught him cheating on her or whatever. And so he was sleeping, and she stabbed him 17 times with one of them kitchen knives. Not like a butcher knife, but kitchen knife, just a regular old knife or whatever. And so he had to have all these blood transfusions or whatever. And so he said because he had the blood of so many different people inside of him after she stabbed him 17 times with that knife. He said he had so many different people's blood in him that he renamed himself Quasar. And for those who don't know, Quasar back in the day used to be a kind of TV. It was like Motorola made it. Quasar is what it used to ad for it.
I think they were black and white too. They weren't they still have them in the head color?
I don't know.
Some color ones, yeah. We had a color Quasar.
No, but he was an influential figure. He was around for a period of time or whatever. So he's like I say, I mean, you can only imagine the kind of wisdom he might have imparted on a young Jimmy back when I was 17.
17 cuts for a 17-year-old. Tell you the story for each one.
Seriously, man. He had, he had one of those Lincolns. Those Lincolns with the suicide doors, 65 or whatever. With the suicide doors, that's what he had. Jesus. He's coming back, that's what they say.
He's going to reincarnate?
He may already be here now. He may be here now. That moment may happen, and when the guy takes credit for it, it might not. He may say he's Jesus. Did you see back about 6 months ago? They had a guy. There were lots of people were throwing around this name of this rabbi that they were saying might be the Messiah.
Yeah, I heard about it. It went away, didn't it? I forgot the guy's name.
Yeah, it went away.
Yeah.
He had really thick glasses too, and I was thinking, well, man, you know, the Messiah's coming back. Wouldn't he have 20/20? I don't know.
Yeah, Jesus don't need glasses.
That's what I'm thinking. But I don't know, you know. That's why Christians' Messiah is not necessarily, you know, your Hebrew man's Messiah. You know what I mean? I think that's the big dichotomy in the whole thing. I don't think the Jews think that Jesus was the Messiah. I think that's the
most
whole.
assured they're not. Yeah.
I think that's the whole argument. But you know, like we were saying earlier, these Abrahamics religions, they're always arguing about stuff. Sitting over there at the Hindu, the Supreme Path, they ain't arguing. But from what you're saying, I guess they're getting a little feisty or something. But I'm sure we could look in history and see that there's different groups that fought wars or whatever. But I'm just saying overall, you know, when you look at the different, I mean, I think the oldest religious document known to man is the Upanishads.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I believe so.
I think it is.
You're quite old.
Not as old as we are. We're getting old. Our shelf life is only have 9 minutes left. And I gotta say,
We're doing pretty good. You're able to bound up and avoid the catastrophic nose plant there. So,
yeah, man. Well, I'll just say this. God bless everybody under those tornadoes over there, man. That was some unnatural shit, you gotta admit. When was the last time there was a tornado outbreak, a tornadic disaster in December?
Never that we know of in our time. The
And
biggest
a world record breaker.
Okay, so let me ask you a question then. So remember when they were saying all this shit, everything they've been saying about the climate changing, all this stuff, however they've been reasoning that they've been giving us for it, or whatever, and this urgency for doing all this stuff because they got to spend, you know, maybe it's because they know, you know, from a formulaic way when this magnetic field is going to collapse, man. And so, like, when the magnetic field starts to act funny, I guarantee you the weather patterns on the Earth are going to act funny. It doesn't even have to be, you know, there's not to say there isn't geoengineering, but I'm just saying, you know, there could be a lot of reasons for a lot of this shit.
Oh, check it out. So the South Atlantic anomaly, where the magnetosphere is thin, right, and there's nothing there basically, right, for the big section.
Mhm.
What if what they've been doing with these ionospheric heaters with things like HAARP back in the day is actually moving the, you know, there's a hole in there's a crack in the world, right? There's a hole in our not just our ozone and our magnetosphere. So by moving it around, agitating it to move it over the populated areas, they're stealing it from the South Atlantic where nobody is, right? Trying to push it all that direction. At some point, it's not enough. There's going to be it's going to have to break somewhere, right?
Yeah, I think you're. Go ahead, Doctor. I hear you.
No, I didn't say anything.
Yeah, no, I mean, so this, I mean, you know, what always bothered me was when that French prime minister dude goes, we've got 733 days until climate change or whatever. And I was always like, how does this guy have an exact number? You know, so it always makes me think that, and you know, with the kind of money that's been spent over the last decade, I mean, they could be getting ready for something that, you know, like this. I mean, this is definitely like something, eh? So, I mean, hey, whether it is what they're describing in the Bible or not, I don't know. But I do know this, man. All year, we've been tripping on stuff about this. Now, I noticed that my trees' leaves were getting burned off.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, well, what, you know, so we looked at it, and it turned out that, you know, Epic, what was it, a 10 scale, and shit was on an 11?
Well, yeah, normally, I mean, the scale doesn't end at 10, but normally it's always under 10.
UV.
Right? Yeah, UV scale. And it's gone up by 3 or 4 in, like, where I'm at here in Hawaii, where you're at, and you're never supposed to be above 9. You were at 11 that day on the UV scale when we looked at it.
Yeah.
And it had been trending that way. Yeah, so that's ridiculous. It's a huge change, actually.
So the thing is if you don't notice it, you don't know about it. You just notice shit's burning, but that is also this ultraviolet radiation coming in that we're not used to is also burning the shit out of the organisms in the dirt. So you can't grow anything and stuff's not there. And trees, how they say, oh, well, trees breathe in carbon and breathe out oxygen. Well, except for when they get to this state where they go into shock and they stop breathing out oxygen. Yeah, they turn into an oxygen sink then instead of a generator. And you can find that information over on geoengineeringwatch.org. But unless you want to, that's some harsh information to come to terms with, man. You know what I mean? Some of the stuff that's going on. We're basically out of time. Dr. Rowe, are you on tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific, Studio A on freedomslips.com?
Probably going to take another week off while the construction continues here.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm glad you got the time off, man. I hope you get a chance to enjoy it, and we really appreciate you making the effort to be here with us, even though we know you're out there in the wind, hardcore, waiting for your bathroom to be done.
It's all good.
Thanks again, man. All right, well, listen. Without further ado, let's make our way towards the exit, and we can exit stage left. Rock, do you want to say something, Epic Journeyman? Now, did Rio get his VR headset?
I don't know. He's driving me nuts, not getting back to me because it was delivered today, right? Amazon had the delivery notice. It was picked up, right? But it said it was left on the porch. It's a business, so in New Jersey.
No, it won't be left on the porch, man. Somebody's there.
Yeah.
Don't sweat it, man. It's all good. Don't even worry about it. It's all good. Well, it's Into the Microcosm. Thanks for being here. Come on back tomorrow night. Dr. Kevin McCarran will be here. I don't know what we're going to get into, but we'll get into something. And he's always up to no good, man. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Green Acres is the place to be. Farm living is the life for me. Land spreading out so far and wide. Keep Manhattan, just give me that countryside.
New York is where I'd rather stay. I gotta live.
Aftermath FM. This has been Into the Microcosm. See you tomorrow night.
Out there, coming closer, quicker, moving with
right. We are clear, man. There we go. We made it to number 4 tonight.
Right on.
I know. Number 5. Now we're number 4. Soon, hopefully, maybe. Number 3. See when Dr. Rowe, when you cruise by, man. People come by, man. People show up. They dig having you come by, man. So, I'm glad you came by. We're still on YouTube, so we're saying goodbye to everybody on YouTube. I got to go straight home, you guys. I can't stick around, man. I'm worried about my ma, so I'll be seeing y'all tomorrow.
Here, yeah, and wonderful one. Sweet dreams, everyone.
Yeah, are you?
I'll be dreaming about that carbine. That's what I'll
Is
be
it
dreaming
raining?
about.
Is it raining over there by you, man?
Yeah, it is.
Hey, I'm gonna put my PayPal in here if you want to give us a tip, man. I'd really appreciate it, cause I got a check that I'm waiting for it to clear. Banks now just could decide. They're charging me $35 and making me wait 10 days to get my money. I'm telling you, we got to do a show. Maybe on Wednesday, we're going to maybe do a show about debanking. You want to come back on Wednesday and talk a little bit about crypto and getting out of how to get out of banks? If you do, let me know. Just let me know.
All right.
All right? All right, everybody. We're going to get out. I'll put my PayPal in there. Hang on a second.
Ciao, ciao.
Hello, everybody.
All right, there's my PayPal. All right, man. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate it. And, you know, if you can, I'd appreciate it. If you can't, I understand. Because I'm in the same spot. I'm in the same boat. All right, we're out of here. See you guys later.
When he's around, anything can happen, and usually does.
Be nice.